Hello, and welcome to Dungeon Lords, a channel where we talk about D&D 5e character classes and character builds. I'm glad to have you here today as we talk about the Barbarian. Alright, so getting right into it. These class builds, talks about these classes, we talk about just what the class gives you. We're not going to branch off into any subtypes, archetypes, anything like that. It's just bare bones. What does being a Barbarian give you? So, looking at level 1, just starting out, what do you get for being a Barbarian? You're going to start with 1d12 hit points for your hit dice, which is the highest of any of the classes. That's pretty great. So you're going to have 12 health plus your con modifier, which is probably going to be pretty good. We'll get into that in a little bit. Now, for armor, you're proficient in light armor, medium armor, and shields. Definitely don't go with heavy armor. You're not proficient in it, and if you multi-class, you're going to lose out on a lot of the Barbarian features. So just stick to light or medium. Or none, but we'll get into that later. Weapons. Simple weapons and martial weapons, which again, basically means you're proficient in all weapons. So you get your choice. Saving throws. Much like the fighter, you're proficient in both strength and constitution. And you're going to have really high scores for those, so that's going to be cool. Skills, you get to choose 2 from animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, and survival. For equipment, you're going to get either a great axe or any melee martial weapon. So in case you wanted to go like greatsword, here's how you get your greatsword. You will also get either 2 hand axes or any simple weapon. You also get an explorer's pack and 4 javelins, which maybe doesn't sound that cool, but I've never had a player start out with javelins and not use them. As soon as they're like, oh, okay, what attacks can I do? I can toss a javelin at someone? That's what they're doing that turn. It's pretty rad. Alright, moving on. Level 1. You get Rage, twice per long rest. And this is kind of the hallmark of the Barbarian. What makes them Barbarian-y? Alright. In battle, you fight with Primal Ferocity. On your turn, you can enter a rage as a bonus action. While raging, you gain the following benefits if you aren't wearing heavy armor. Again, don't do that as a Barbarian. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. So, grapples, escaping grapples, pushing someone off a cliff? I don't know, whatever takes strength. When you make a melee weapon attack using strength, you gain bonus to the damage roll that increases as you gain levels as a Barbarian. And we'll get into that later. Let's see, you also get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is really, really rad. Alright, if you are able to cast spells, you can't cast them or concentrate on them while raging. That being said, you can cast it before entering rage, and as long as you don't have to concentrate on it, you're fine. Your rage lasts for 1 minute, which is 10 turns in combat. That's a long time. It ends early if you are knocked unconscious, or if you end your turn without having taken damage or attacked a hostile creature. So you don't have to hit the creature and do damage, you just have to attack the creature. That's important. And once your rage... once you have raged the number of times shown for your Barbarian level, on the column on the Barbarian table, you must finish a long rest before you get them back. And we'll talk how many you get. And so short rests aren't good. You need a long rest to get them back. Now, at level 1, you're going to start 2 per long rest, and that damage bonus is plus 2. That's pretty significant. That's like jumping 2 die types per attack. That's pretty rad. Okay, continuing on level 1. On armored defense. While you are not wearing armor, your armor class equals 10 plus dex plus constitution. And you can use a shield. Which is good, because it probably wouldn't be that high if you weren't able to use a shield. But again, you can always wear medium armor and still get all your benefits. So, that's a thing. Alright, now at level 2, you get some more really cool stuff. Reckless attack. basically, you can choose to have advantage on your attack against an enemy, but then until your turn comes back around, enemies have advantage to hit you. Which sounds bad, but if you're raging, you take half damage. So it doesn't really matter. And if you're incentivizing the enemies to hit you, then they're not attacking your party. So that's pretty rad. You also get danger sense. At second level, you gain an uncanny sense of when things nearby aren't as they should be, giving you an edge to dodge away from danger. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see, such as traps and spells. To gain the benefit, you can't be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. So basically, it's a nope. The wizard starts casting a fireball, you see that, and you're like, no, I'm not having that, and you dip out. That's pretty cool. The more I read about Barbarian, the more I'm excited to play Barbarian, because it's not just the meaty tank, or it's not just the angry damage dealer. There's also this aspect of kind of agileness, can take action like at a moment's notice and dodge away. Someone who's very invested in their survival and good at it. And that's pretty cool. Alright, at level 3, you get to choose your primal path. And we're not going to talk about that in this video. We'll do other videos specifically on the primal paths. So those will be coming in the future. So you choose that path, and you get a feature from it. And you also get an extra usage of rage per long rest. So you can now rage 3 times before running out. Moving on to level 4, you get an ability score improvement. So again, this gives you 3 options. You can increase 2 stats by 1 point each. You can increase 1 stat by 2 points, bumping it up a modifier, which is pretty cool. Or you get to choose a feat. Now, the Barbarians are really good at gaining stats. They don't get as many ability score improvements as the fighter does, but they have a super special secret at 20th level, which we're going to go over, which actually gives them more stats than the fighter. It's pretty cool. Alright, level 5. You gain an extra attack. Beginning at 5th level, you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. It's pretty cool. And you also get fast movement. Starting at 5th level, your speed increases by 10 feet when you aren't wearing heavy armor. So again, that's kind of tying into the whole survival theme of the Barbarian. You don't just move, you move fast. And you don't just move, you move at a moment's notice. It's pretty cool. Alright, level 6. Again, you get a Primal Path feature, and now you can rage 4 times before having to take a rest. That's pretty cool. Alright, level 7. Feral Instinct. By 7th level, your instincts are so honed that you have advantage on initiative rolls. That's pretty sweet. And additionally, if you are surprised at the beginning of combat and aren't incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn, but only if you enter your rage before doing anything else on that turn. This one really speaks to me. When the rest of the party is getting surprised, your Barbarian's over there going, I have never, in all my life, been so offended. Flies into a rage and just starts beating... Oh, can't say that on YouTube. Just starts kicking the butt right out the gate. That's pretty cool. It's like, how dare you attack me when I'm not paying attention? Okay, level 8. Another ability score improvement. Level 9. Brutal Critical. This is pretty rad. Beginning at 9th level, you can roll 1 additional weapon damage die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit, as long as it's a melee attack. So you're sitting there with your Great Axe, which is a 1d12. You have 2 attacks, right? Swing and a hit, swing and a crit. Now you're going to roll 2d12. I'm sorry, that damage is already doubled. You're going to be rolling 3d12 for that crit instead of 2d12. That's pretty rad. That's a lot of damage. And at this level, your bonus damage for raging goes up to +3. That's a lot of extra average damage. That's pretty cool. Alright, level 10, a Primal Path feature, which again, we're not touching on. Level 11, Relentless Rage. Starting at 11th level, your rage can keep fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging and don't die outright, which I'll touch in a minute, you can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 hit point instead, which means you're still in the fight. Each time you use this feature after the first, the DC increases by 5. When you finish a short or long rest, so any rest, the DC resets to 10. Okay, if you don't die outright, so what that means is if they don't do your whole health pool again once you've hit 0, which probably isn't going to happen at 11th level. That would be a sick amount of damage, especially since your hit die are D12s. Now, a DC of 10 is nothing. Absolutely nothing for you at 11th level, because your Constitution score is probably going to be really high. It's one of your saving throws. You've gotten a lot of ability score improvements by this point. You're going to be looking really good. Even with a DC of 15, that's like probably 50-50. You're going to stay up and keep fighting. So that's like 2 get out of death free cards. That's pretty rad. Alright, moving forward. Level 12. Another ability score improvement. So maybe you haven't been focusing on your Constitution, and you're like, oh, I just got this cool ability. Maybe I'm going to bump up my Constitution now. Who knows? And now you can rage 5 times before taking a long rest. So at this point, it's going to be a little bit situational on your party. How often are you taking long rests? If it's fairly often, 5 might feel like an unlimited number of uses. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe your party does a lot of combats within one day, and you're like, man, I still wish I had some more rages, but now I'm doing it very, very often. That's pretty cool. Level 13, an enhancement to your Brutal Critical. At 9th level, you now roll 2 additional weapon damage die. So you hit with your Great Axe, you crit. You do your normal 1d12 damage, your crit 1d12 damage, and then 2 more 2d12 damage. You're rolling 4d12s on a single attack with your Great Axe. That's pretty sweet. Alright. 14th level, another Primal Path feature. So you're getting all this great stuff and some extra stuff due to your Primal Path. The Barbarians got a lot going on. They're pretty cool. Alright, level 15, Persistent Rage. Beginning at 15th level, your rage is so fierce that it ends only if you fall unconscious or if you choose to end it. Okay, now this is cool. So, you're not attacking an enemy? Doesn't matter. Your rage still's going. You didn't take damage? Doesn't matter. Rage is still going. You get 5 uses per long rest at this point, but if you don't fall unconscious, you're just a rage machine. You're like the little engine that could of rage. Moving on, level 16. You get another ability score improvement, and your rage damage goes up to +4. And it's going to stay there at +4 for the rest of our levels. That is a lot of extra damage. That means even if you roll a 1, you still did a minimum of 5 damage before factoring in your strength score. That's a lot of reliable damage. Alright, level 17. Brutal Critical. Again, 3 damage die. 3! So you crit, you're now rolling 5d12s on that Great Axe. That's an insane amount of damage. Now, crits don't happen all that often, but when they do, everyone's going to know they did. And now you can rage 6 times per long rest. How useful is that now that your rage goes indefinitely? I don't know. But you get 6. Level 18. Indomitable Might. Beginning at 18th level, your total for strength checks... if your total for strength checks is less than your strength score, you can use that score instead of the total. Okay, at this point, you should have 20 strength. You just should. You've had enough ability score improvements. You should be rocking a 20. So when you're rolling your d20 for a strength score, you can just be like, nah, I rolled a 20. I'm fine. I probably succeed at this. That's pretty sick. Are you snapping a chain with your bare hands? Are you kicking in a door? Are you grappling something? Are you shoving something? I don't know, but you're probably going to succeed. That's pretty sweet. 19th, your last ability score improvement. You have stats out the yin-yang right now. Or a lot of feats if you went that route. Now, level 20, your capstone ability. You get Primal Champion. At 20th level, you embody the power of the wilds. Your strength and your constitution scores increase by 4 each. By 4. Your maximum for these scores is now 24. Everyone else is stuck at 20. They're not getting past a +5 modifier. You just jumped yourself up to a +7 modifier. Why? Because you're stronger than everyone else. You're hardier than everyone else. You make the strongest of the strong people look like little wimpy wimps. That was terrible. Little wimpy wimps. Alright. And you can rage an unlimited number of times. Pairing that with what you got earlier, you can rage for an unlimited length. So I don't know if that really makes much of a factor for you, but you just rage always, all the time. You're always angry. You have wired the neural pathways in your brain to just be a conduit of rage. Now, why would you want to play a barbarian? One, you have massive HP. You have more HP than any of the other classes, and talking about effective HP. When you rage, you're effectively doubling your HP pool because you're taking half damage. That's pretty wild. You are going to be a very, very survivable character. Now, you also have reliable to hit and damage because your strength score is going to be high, right? So you're going to have a great chance to hit again and again. Not as great as the fighters because they get more attacks than you, but it's still going to be really good. And reliable damage. With that rage giving you bonus damage, that's guaranteed damage. And every +1 is like moving up a die type, right? So if you have a short sword, which is a 1d6, your average is 3 damage. If you have a long sword, which is a 1d8, your average is 4 damage. That's one difference, okay? So if you have, let's say that long sword, right? And you hit with it with one hand, that's like hitting with a great axe. And that's when you get your first +2 bonus. That jumps all the way up to +4 by the end. That's pretty rad. That's significant. Alright, why else would you want to play a barbarian? You get a lot of stats. A lot. Not factoring in hitting level 20, you have 10 stat boosts, which is +5 to your overall modifiers throughout the life of your character. That's pretty significant. Not quite as much as the fighters, but it's a lot. But now if we factor in 20, where you just jump up 8 more stats, now you're looking at 18 overall stats, which is +9 to your modifiers. That makes you the stattiest stat lord who has ever statted as a barbarian. That's cool. You also tend to stay in the fight, barring any crowd control, right? Just health alone, you're staying in that fight for a long time. And you are super strong. You are the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Charles Atlas, the dude who's pulling buses just with like a chain shackled around him. That's you. You are a strong beast. And that's been my video on the Barbarian. Thank you so much for joining us here at Dungeon Lords. This is Sage. I look forward to seeing you the next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video, or if you want ad-free content or the chance to play D&D with myself, or control the direction of where my videos go, jump on over to Patreon, find us there, and become a Dungeon Lord yourself. All right, until next time, have a good one.